Awesome, man. I love what he was talking about, like putting your hands up. When you were talking, John, I was just thinking like, when God called Moses, he said to him like, Moses, what's in your hands? And like, I love that idea that God doesn't ask us what's in other people's hands. He asks us what's in your hands currently. And, he just had his staff or whatever he had. And God was I feel like God was saying to Moses, like, whatever it is you have in your hands, I can use. I don't need, sometimes I think we're not, gifted enough, or I'm not a good speaker. The classic, I guess it's human nature, we just never think we're good enough. And God's like, Moses, what's in your hands? And even if you think about like David tried to use what was in Saul's hands when he tried to change the armor, and he realized, I've got to use what God has already given me, and that's the sling that I've used, So when I think about drawing near, man, it's not about doing what other people do, It's just about saying, what do I have within my hands, within my resources, and how can I use that to draw near to God? And so I just wanted to quickly talk about a couple of things. One was, why should we draw near to God? And the obvious answer to me is, well, God is better. He's better than anything out there. And it's kind of easy to say when you've had a little frolic on the side of the world, and I know people will have that argument, it's easy for you to say because you've done those things. I'm like, yeah, but I also haven't done a whole lot of other things. I've never killed anyone. There's a lot of sins I could have done, but I haven't done. And yet, God's just better. He's just, everything he does, and when you walk in his ways, life just works better, You find when you're walking with the Lord, things just flow. It's not to say you don't go through bad things, but there's peace in the house, there's peace in the marriage, work is going good. And it's always because you're going well with God. And you notice as soon as you walk, you, deter slightly from God, whether it be because you sinned or whether it be because you didn't sin, but you're just not thinking about him. You know what I mean? Things just start to go down and go bad, right? And so we already intuitively know and understand through our own experiences that life with God's better. And so I wanted to quickly just show a video if you're ready. And some of you've probably seen this, but I just think it illustrates it really well. And if that doesn't work, that's fine. And just talks about, he's just talking about what happens when we try to fill up our life with other things. And we try to, in some ways I think of it like, if you're in a room with someone and it's like you're trying to compete for the same oxygen, and you can do it a lot when you're married, where you try to suck the life out of your partner. Did I talk about that? Where you try to draw your life from that person rather than draw it from the source of God. And then after a while, here it goes.
How as a bride you loved.
And also, what's his name? What's this guy's name? Francis Chan. Thought that was kind of, I was trying to do, Roll the video, guys, come on, what's happening? I'm digging a hole here.
Jeremiah chapter 2. I remember the devotion of your youth. How as a bride you loved me. You followed me through the desert, through a land not sown. Remember, this is God speaking. And sometimes we think of God as like this machine up there, with no feeling. He just judges, he just controls everything. You guys, listen to the words he uses. God is speaking to his nation, and he says, I remember how devoted you were to me. But then he says in verse 5, what fault did your fathers find in me that they strayed so far from me? Doesn't that sound like something of our lives? Where we were so connected with God. God made things so wonderful, and then we run away towards something else. Something else entices us, and God's left there going, what did I do? My people have committed two sins. They've forsaken me, the spring of living water, and they've dug their own cisterns, broken cisterns that cannot hold water. The people committed two sins. One was they chose their sin. But I think what really broke the heart of God was that they chose their sin over Him. God's going, wait a second. So you left me, the spring of living water, to go do your own thing because you thought maybe you could dig a hole big enough and then fill it up with water so this would be a better supply? He goes, and it's a broken cistern. It doesn't even hold water. That's what temptation is. Things that draw us away from Him, things that we choose over a love relationship. And it's not that you don't love God. You love God, right? I mean, you love God in your heart, but every once in a while there's this reality of there's this real pull from inside of you towards something that God prohibits. And you're feeling it so bad. You're going, what is wrong with me? I know I love God. Why do I feel this way? We're going, God, I don't want to go there. And we know it's not going to fulfill. We know we can't be happy outside of God. But everything in us is pulling us that way. What do? Here's what we do. The Bible says, fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. He says, set your mind on things above, not earthly things. It's the idea of a person being so focused on this love relationship, you're not even noticing anything else. You don't know what else is going on in the room. You're just so focused on Jesus, so in love, and so thinking about eternal things. That's the idea. We have to run toward Jesus, the author and perfecter. We have to fix our eyes on Him so that all these things are dangling in front of our face, but we don't even notice it. There's one reason why you should walk away from whatever temptation you're facing right now. It's just one reason. God is better. He is. He's so much better. It's not even a comparison. God is better.
I don't know about you, but it's just an awesome video. What a great reminder. It just does something in my heart where I'm just like, man, that's me. And one thing I wanted to say was often things that draw us away from God, it's not even sinful things. They're just anything that we don't really need to waste our time on. It can be, it's not a sin to play a video game. You know what I mean? It's not a sin to do a lot of the things we do, but sometimes it's just our time is filled up with things that we have to squeeze God in, at the end of the night. I'll keep my quiet time over here because I've done everything I wanted to do all day. And so, just thinking ahead, one thing I thought was, when it comes to a love relationship with God, like any relationship, if you're going to draw near to that person, it's going to require time. And there's a difference between, it's often been said that, quality is better than quantity. But I think it's actually, when it comes to a relationship, it's actually not true that quantity is better than quality. And the reason that is because you can't control quality. Like, you can't have a quality moment with your children tonight. Oh, kids, we're having quality family night. We're playing games together. And the kids are, oh, yes, Mum. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to have family time, right? Or, you're trying to have... But you can't produce quality. It's something that happens randomly. It's in the little things where you put them to bed and the kid says, I love you, Dad. You're like, oh, thank you. You don't normally say that. You can't make a kid do quality things. You try your best, say hello to Uncle Joe. Or, say hello to Uncle Henry. You're like, why will not my kid perform at the right moment? So quality is something is kind of out of your control, but what is in your control is quantity. You can choose to spend a lot of time. And one thing I heard a lot today was you try to spend time in the Bible and it gets a bit boring. And I think what you have to remember when you're drawing near to God is you're not looking for immediate results. Because a lot of times we're looking for immediate quality. I've sat down, I've done my quiet time, God, where are you? You know what I mean? It's like you set aside the time and you consistently do it. Consistently, you choose to do this over and over again, and here and there, the quality moments will occur. You know what I mean? And it's like the quantity over quality. And so I just wanted to say that and get that out there. I remember many years ago at youth group, we were at youth group, and we go to this park sometimes to do bonfires in the winter. And what happened was we were all parked inside, and the ranger came and closed the gates. And so we were going out, and I had, 7 carloads of kids and some buses, and the gates were locked. And then I had a bit of a wild Aussie bloke. He's a bit of he's a blokey bloke, he's always got no shoes on, he drives a ute, he's got long hair, he always has a dog with him, he's got a big beard, and he's only 18. And he's like, yeah, bro, we'll just rip this fence down. I was like, no, don't rip the fence down. Let me call the ranger, I call the ranger, and yeah, how you going? Oh, sorry, you've just locked the gates. Yeah, I won't be back, mate. That's it. So I got off the phone and said, pull the fence down. Like, pull it off, bro, we're going. I'm not, because I'm like out in the wops with a bunch of kids. And it was weird because I used to be at a youth group in North Richmond with Roger. And like youth group would finish at like 10 o'clock. And we'll drop the kids off at Macca's, and we're like near the pub, or like at like 12 or something. Like these kids are like not needing to go home. Like mum's at the pub, dad doesn't care. And it was weird because when I went to the Northern Beaches, it was like 8 o'clock, the SUVs rolled in, the kids were gone. You know what I mean? The kids are gone. And it was year 12, if they were doing HSC, they don't go to youth group that year because it's HSC. And it was just like, oh, okay. It was a different dynamic. So these kids are not the kids you keep trapped overnight. And I remember we were trying to figure out, we were trying to rip the fence out. The kids were running around and going, oh, this is the best youth ever. We're trapped. We're sleeping here. They were having so much fun. And it's hilarious because you look back and almost all the youth from that time all remember that time we were trapped in? Yeah, I was trying to make a hut and I was thinking I was going to sleep here. And it's just one of those quality times for the kids. It didn't feel like quality for the leaders or for me. But now that we look back, it's one of those things, it's like, they remember that time, but I could never have produced that kind of thing because I wouldn't do that. But it's just when you spend a lot of time with someone, you build into that a lot of times of quality, and it's like I'm thinking a good marriage doesn't happen by accident. A good marriage doesn't happen by accident. Having good finances and savings and paying off your mortgage, and that's not an accident. Getting a gold medal is not an accident. We understand that getting a good job is not passing your HSC will not be an accident, unless you're a random prodigy. But you're not the rule. You're the exception. So almost everything we know in this world that is of value never happens by accident. And then why do we think our faith is going to happen by accident? Just by I go to church. Yeah, just rock up to church. Yeah, I'm on the sound team. And so I just think this morning when we did small groups, we talked about having a strategy. I don't know if you guys remember doing, what was your strategy? What was the thing that you were going to change to draw near to God? And one thing I always remember is a goal without a plan is just a wish. And so a lot of times we do this in Christianity. Like, if anyone ever said, hey, pray for so-and-so, and you're like, yeah, I'll pray. You're not going to pray. You just, maybe that's just me. But yeah, I'll pray, yeah, I'll do that. And then you walk away and you forget about it. Or that was a great camp, I'm going to do this. But then you don't actually write it down and talk to someone and hold it accountable. And so you kind of walk away from the camp and you were changed for a little bit, but you never had a strong strategy or a plan in place for how this was going to play out after camp. And so what I wanted to do tonight was something a bit different. If you could jump on the keys, please. So Jono started off doing it, and I was like, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. But I wanted to do this spend some unknown amount of time, just when I feel like it's just on our own, find a space in this room, sitting on the ground, lying down, and I just want us to have like a little jam time where you just, Jesus and me, you're just spending time focusing on God, and just like I guess a time of adoration and praise in your heart. Now, however you do that, some people like reading Bibles, some people like just colouring in things and drawing if you're into prophetic art. We had a couple of kids over here before. So whatever it is, just spend a bit of time with you and God alone in this room tonight while she's going to play some nice worshipful tunes. You know what I mean? And as she's like setting that atmosphere with the anointing, can you see that? Can you feel that? Oosh. It's nice. But yeah, spend a bit of time, and then after that, we're going to come back, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do after that. But if we could just spend some time with just you and God, and just, like John was saying, just worshipping God for a bit in your heart, in the sense with prayer and thinking of Him. And yeah, can we do that? Thank you.